Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Movies That Matter. I'm your host, Chris Flaherty. Thank you for joining us for episode 10. And my guest today is James Hurley. James, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing all right. Happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here. I'm glad we finally got you on the podcast because I just said to Varys the last time when they were on for Spider-Verse, I remember telling both of you about this, the idea for this podcast, and you both just kind of went like, you just raised your hands. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I was like, theoretically, guest zero in terms of like, you asked Varys and I at like pretty much the exact same time, and we both volunteered. But then I am a very busy person.
I know you are. Well, it's taken me almost a year to get to 10 episodes. So.
Yeah, well, I feel that my show's been running for 10 years, and I'm only at 30-something episodes.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, James is the host of James's House of Rock and a frequent YouTube personality and multimedia master. He's been a student volunteer here at BCAT for many years and has
almost 10.
Yeah, almost 10 years, and has collaborated with me on many public access escapades. And he's also studying at Lesley University for a degree in digital filmmaking, making us proud.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much entirely influenced by starting here. Yeah,
that's great.
Because I would have probably ended up either in business or in music if I hadn't started here.
No, you did exactly what I did. You came here and then you decided I'll make a career out of this.
Oh yeah.
So
and here you are.
And here I am, full circle. All right, let's talk about the movie that matters today. Begin Again from 2013, written and directed by Micheal Carney, starring Keira Knightley, Mark Ruffalo, and James Corden. You didn't warn me that James Corden was in this movie.
Thankfully, this is like pre-annoying James Corden.
It's true.
This is very early on James Corden.
Yeah, and then Adam Levine. I was surprised.
Yeah, he's a weird outlier in this film in terms of like the rest of them are like pretty much on the same kind of like celebrity status, if you will, especially at the time, and then just Adam Levine. It's like way higher up.
First, last, and only acting role, right?
I'm not really sure if it's his only, but yeah, it's gonna be one of his first.
All right.
Yeah. Well, you don't see him very often.
He did okay.
Yeah, he did pretty good. Thankfully, he's only in like I think 6 or 7 minutes of the film in total.
Probably total. Anyway, Begin Again. In your own words, can you tell us what the film is about?
Yeah. So, rundown producer or record producer Dan, played by Mark Ruffalo, hears a singer perform a song played by Keira Knightley while he's at a bar, and the two hit it off and decide that they want to record like an album together. Keira Knightley's character Greta is there because she was brought there by her ex-boyfriend, who has now become a rock star and has cheated on her, and that's where she ended up in this bar from. So after an unsuccessful attempt to get signed to Dan's old record label, they decide to record an outdoor album where they record different places around New York instead of like a standard studio. And hilarity ensues, if you will.
Now, this is a first for the podcast because for the first time, a guest has introduced me to a movie. I've never seen this movie until you said you wanted to do it.
Not many people have.
I know. And I think they should. I think it's a very good movie.
I do very thoroughly enjoy this film. I have probably, on an actual realistic level, I have probably seen this movie about 30 times.
Wow. How did you first learn about this film, or what attracted you to it?
So I don't really quite remember, but I believe it was like I saw a trailer for it before one of the other movies that was coming out around that time. It was one of those like throwaway trailers where it was like, oh, and by the way, this one's also coming to theaters because it's distributed by the Weinstein Company. Where we won't get into that.
Doesn't exist anymore.
But, yeah, it was still considered like one of those like lower budget indie kind of things.
Right.
So it was one of those like last roll trailers.
It's like when like a movie pops on DVD, they just throw like 10 trailers on before you hit the menu, and it's just like trailer number 9. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because I did actually, the first time I saw this movie was in 2013. I saw it in theaters when it had come out. I of course I think I was 12 or 13 when the film came out. You know, I can go by the year, but so obviously I didn't really have my own means to go there, so I asked my mom. I was like, hey, can we go see Begin Again? Like, I don't know why the trailer just like I know this is one of your future questions I think we were moving on to anyway, but I'll get into
we jump around here.
Yeah. But yeah, I had asked my mom, hey, you want to come see Begin Again with me? Because like she hadn't even heard of it, and I don't remember thoroughly from 10 years ago where I first heard of it either. But I know I was drawn to the film because it just seemed fun. At the time, obviously, Avengers had like just come out, so Mark Ruffalo was was a draw, and then I was a huge fan of Maroon 5, so Adam Levine was a draw too, and then like the whole idea of like just recording music and recording an album is just super fascinating to me, and I love that concept. So it was a movie that I definitely wanted to see, and I was probably one of only like 100 people that saw it.
Well, people are still talking about it today.
Yeah.
Well,
I haven't done too much modern. Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So what stuck out with you in that first viewing?
What's really funny is that nothing really stuck out to me on the first viewing when we saw it in theaters. It was one of those things where like, oh, that was a fantastic film, and then I'd kind of forgotten about it. Shortly after that, it was actually a couple years later when I was browsing like the on-demand services of the premium channels we had on our cable package, and it came up because it's a Starz distributed film, so Starz had it on their on demand, and I was like, oh, this was a pretty good movie. I wanna watch this again. And then I think by that point I had started JHR. I had started going back into music production, and like I had gone into this whole creative world by then, because you got to remember in 2013 I was only a year in here. So I hadn't really fully immersed myself yet. So I think that whole like creative aspect of it, and like the inspiration of like making an album and like sticking it to the record label or whatever, and like the whole redemption arc of Dan and Greta really stuck out to me at the time as like a blossoming creator, if you will.
What really got me was the contrasting perspectives of Greta and Dan in that opening sequence at the bar, because Greta's on stage, and like I'm sure a lot of musicians have experienced this where they're playing like at an open mic and no one is paying attention. So it's just like a lot of noise. But then we see Dan's perspective, and he is just, because he has the ears for it, he's lasered in, and then he's envisioning like the violins.
Yeah, I love that scene.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I love that scene so much, where he's like building on the song in his head, and all the instruments are moving by themselves. I have to wonder if that was CGI, or, knowing the budget of this film, it was probably guys in like green morph suits that they were playing the instruments, and then they green screened them out or chroma keyed them out.
Yeah, Now I need to see behind the scenes footage. I need to see like green men.
My Blu-ray might have behind the scenes. I'll take a look.
No, you said you saw this with your mom. Is this a significant movie for the both of you? Have you watched it a lot with her? Or?
No, mostly any post viewings have always pretty much just been me. It's a nice movie that I used to put on in the background when I was like doing something really late at night by myself, because it was just a nice comfort, feel good movie to put on as not noise in the background, because usually I'd end up giving up whatever I was working on to be focused on the movie, even if it was the 20th time I had seen it.
Yeah.
But if you asked my mom, she probably wouldn't even remember what film that was.
Okay. So it's a personal film for you, and it's a comfort film. And you say you watch it by yourself a lot. Have you introduced it to other people? Or?
Yeah. It's one of those movies that, like, getting into both of my relationships, when you start to do like the icebreakers, if you will, talking about like favorite movies and stuff like that, it always comes up, because it's been my number one film for a while.
Yeah.
And so both relationships had seen it.
Well, that's good.
Now, one in the past and my current one. And I don't think the movie meant quite as much to either of them, obviously. My current one did enjoy the film quite a bit.
That's good. That's a good sign.
Yeah. But yeah, most of the time, no, I haven't really introduced it to too many people other than like significant others.
Okay. Lost my place here. I think we might have touched on this already. But what like really connects you to the film? I feel like I sort of saw a little bit of your perspective as I was watching it, but I'd like not to therapize you. This isn't therapy, but what like really connects you to this film?
Well, so I as I briefly touched upon just a little bit ago, it's like one of those things that it was more the timing of it. Right as I had finally gotten into the film a couple years later, like I said, I had started becoming a creator at that point.
Right.
I had started my production company. I had started JHR. I had started making music again. Like, and it just felt nice I love shows and movies that cover like making stuff, like creating stuff, because it always feels so inspiring to me. And it's something I can latch on to be like, oh, if they're doing that, I can do it too. Like, and yeah, it's a movie. Yeah, it's fiction, but it's still one of those things of like, oh, like if they were able to like put a recording studio in a car and take it around New York, maybe I could do something as fun as that or something as big as that.
Guerrilla recording.
Yep.
I was sort of like, it drew me back to when I was younger.
Yeah.
I know. And like me and my crew, well, like we were making like our short videos at BCAT back in the day, like just going out to places and filming, like not having permission to be there.
Oh, I've never had permission to pretty much anywhere I've ever filmed. Yeah.
I was like, that's what took me back to like those times when like, you know, I'm just learning the craft, getting it done any way possible. Yeah.
And I think it also goes into, and I didn't really see any other questions that could pertain to this point that I have, but so I'll insert it here. I really like the fact that this isn't a love story.
Right.
Like I really love the fact that Dan and Greta don't end up together at the end. Like I understand that there's a significant age difference. Like,
no, but I was like, there was that one hot moment where they're like staring at each other for a while, and I was like, don't do it.
Yeah, I really deeply respect the idea that they didn't turn into a love story.
Right.
Because like age gap aside, because in the film I think Greta and Dan are supposed to be an easy 10-year difference from each other. But you know, it happens. But that whole arc where it starts to be less of a romantic thing and more of just a mutual respect and building each other up meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Because I like that whole idea of like, you don't have to fall in love with everyone you come along with. Some people are just there to set you back up for success or for respect or whatever it might be.
Yeah. The romance is the work for them. They love their work.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Don't get mad at me when I say this. I sort of felt like it was a street level La La Land at times.
Okay, I can see that. No, I can definitely see that. I think it's they both convey the same message in a different industry. Right. So like when Begin Again is focused on music, La La Land's more focused on the film industry.
Yeah.
But it's still the same kind of idea as like Sebastian and Mia. I couldn't remember Emma Stone's character's name. Sebastian and Mia.
Just say Ryan and Emma.
Yeah, I could have just said that too. I want to act like I know things.
Sure. It's fine.
Like the two relationships between the two films kind of mirror each other in a way of like the whole like mutual respect and building each other's careers up kind of thing. Not that Dan needs it in Begin Again, but La La Land just took the more romantic route to that.
Yeah. And I think like it's sort of in some ways at the end where she decides I don't want to distribute the song on a major level. I want to just put it on internet for $1. I think that says a lot about like the passion for your work and not compromising your vision.
Yeah, exactly. It's more of a not doing like it's more doing it for the passion, like you just said. Yeah,
right.
and it's a lot more respectful than giving out to a record label kind of thing.
Right, and I think not to compare this to La La Land for 45 minutes, but there is a big part of that movie where, I don't remember his name now either.
Sebastian.
Sebastian. He joins up with John Legend's band.
Yep.
And I know he has a character, but he's just John
Yeah, that's
Legend.
fine. He's just playing John Legend.
Right. And like he's not playing the music that he typically likes.
Yeah.
He's sacrificed his passion for seed money.
For seed, yeah.
Really. So I think this film says a lot about staying true to who you are and staying true to your work and your passions and stuff.
And I think the film conveys that through the different career paths that Dave, Adam Levine's character, and Greta take on their respective journeys, because they both essentially have the same journey, but they go completely different ways, and it kind of shows how the same path can either corrupt or
right
or grow not grow, but you know what I mean. Like,
well, at the start, like Dan is like shooting down this audio commentary track of an album, which, yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense at all. And he's just sort of like he's kind of like, we forgot what we were. We were the music industry and stuff. And Greta is just very about keeping it simple and stuff. Like, it's about the music. That's all it is.
Yeah, she even says it herself. It's like it's easy to get what you want when you don't even want it.
Right. And then there's the part where she wrote a song specifically for him, for Adam Levine. Again, another singer. I don't remember his name.
Dave Cole. Dave Cole is his character's name, but you can refer to him as either.
Very close to Dave Grohl. I was like, Yeah, she wrote this song specifically for him, and then like he produces it like on a mass level for everyone. And it changes meaning, and there's a lot of like difference in perspectives in this movie. Like we talked about the difference in how Greta sees the open mic versus how Dan sees it, and then you have the song, which I think was nominated for an Academy Award.
If memory serves, something was. I don't necessarily know if it was that song particularly.
I forget which song, but it's the song that she writes. Like, it almost changes meaning when he performs it on stage and stuff.
The Lost Stars.
Yes,
essentially the title theme for the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It changes meaning once it's, like, put in new context and stuff. It reminded me a lot of Remember Me from Coco.
Okay. Yeah,
like how
I haven't seen Coco, honestly.
What?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
What? Wow, okay.
I was on vacation.
Never mind.
I was on vacation when that song, or when that movie hit theaters, and then I just never got a chance to see it before it left. And then I've had plenty of time to watch it. We won't get too far off topic there.
The point I'm making is the song. There's a song in Coco that we hear it 3 different times.
Yep.
And the lyrics don't change, but depending on who's singing it, and it develops new context and stuff. And that apparently is what makes an Academy Award nominated song.
I mean, us humans, we love emotions.
Yeah.
So when our emotions can be played with, we're bound to like it more.
Yeah, it's like, what did George Lucas say? It's poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah.
So you're a big music guy, and obviously you're a content creator. You're studying film and stuff. How do you think this film has sort of impacted your work? Like, is this the kind of stories you want to make? Or do you think like this film has sort of inspired you to make stories like it? Or
yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about changing perspectives, I feel like every time I watch this movie, it means a little bit something different to me.
Okay.
Because as I progressed my studies and as I went into film and everything, because obviously when I watched this movie to begin with back in 2013, I was just getting into television and filmmaking. I was dead set on music before joining here at BCAT in 2012. So like when I first watched it, it was like, oh cool, like inspiring music and everything. Like but now I feel like I look at it from a filmmaker's perspective. Like I look at it as how they made it as a film rather than the story of the movie. Because I think I've seen the movie so many times that I don't have to pay attention to the plot itself anymore.
Okay.
I look at it from like a filmmaker's perspective and a screenwriting perspective and stuff like that. And it gives me a good glimpse on how to write characters. Because I feel like both Dan, Greta, and Dave's characters are also well written without being completely forced. That I can take notes from that kind of thing of how to write, like, let's say deadbeat characters or down on their luck characters or timid characters or overly passionate kind of thing. And as I watched the movie the night before we were recording this, just to like, not that I needed a refresher, but just to watch it again for the hell of it, before being on the podcast. And like, I thought of it so much more in a perspective of filmmaking, like the scene with the instruments moving in Dave's head. That's the first time viewing this movie ever I thought of, how did they do that? Was that CGI? Was that guys in green suits moving the instruments and then just chroma keyed out? And then like I thought of so I've been writing a feature film myself lately. In fact, that's what I was working on just before we were recording this.
And
Scoop. And it almost showed, like I almost took this opportunity last night to look at like the plot progression and how they stretched out the plot to an hour and a half or however long this movie is. I'm not actually sure.
More or less hour and a half.
So I feel like every time I watch it, it gives me something new as I progress my studies as a filmmaker.
That's awesome.
Turning less from a film and more into a how did they make this film?
What character in the film would you say like you really gravitate towards the most?
I'm kind of a blend of Dan and Greta.
Okay.
I take Greta's like shyness and passion and well, I guess shyness isn't quite the right word, but like as much as I am on camera constantly, I don't like being on camera.
Me neither. As much as I'm on camera constantly.
And a lot of people that have known me personally have noticed that, like in my last couple of projects, I've moved behind the camera. James's House of Rock is about the only thing that I still do on camera.
Yeah.
So like there is that level of like shyness and like not wanting to show any of it. And then also in Greta's character is the idea of like not thinking anything of my work. Because like I've had this discussion with Varys before, and I think we've even mentioned it in one of my podcasts, that like we've been doing this kind of stuff for so long that we don't even like think of it as anything anymore. Because like casually mentioned to somebody that you went into television production at 11 years old, they might be like, wait, what are you talking about? To me, that's just completely normal. I don't think anything of it anymore. Or even more so, I don't think very positively of my work very often. I always think that there's more that I can do or more than it can be, and like things I did wrong or should have done different. And I think Greta embodies a lot of that kind of stuff too, in that she doesn't think anything of her songs. They're just for her cat, as she states.
I like that. Yeah.
They're for me and my cat. And then on Dan's side of things, like struggling with mental health and all that, trying to be creative while, not being great in the head is difficult. And for the sake of being too personal, I won't get too much into that. But.
Sure. No, this is entertainment is subjective here.
Yeah.
So don't feel pressured to share or overshare. But I think we're showing our age difference here. I think I might gravitate more towards Dan than Greta. Because you say you've been doing this a long time.
Oh, I know you've got well more years on me.
A decade or two, maybe. No, not more than
about a decade.
2 decades.
About a decade.
A decade and change, we'll say. And yeah, I mean, you kind of start going through the motions for a while, and you're just like, this is my work. Yeah, and you don't think much of it.
I think I hit that point too early because of how early I started.
And it's like even I say like she says it's just for the cats. Like the best thing I could say is like, oh, the stuff I make is just for like my friends and family to watch. Yeah, like I'm not trying to like get famous off a lip dub. It would be nice.
Those
it would be nice.
Are great. But,
I know. Like someone out there in Poughkeepsie probably found my YouTube channel with lip dubs on it and probably is like, I don't know who this kid is, but he's really entertaining me here. But it's that personal connection. Like I'm just doing it, to entertain the folks around me, and it's hard to like not be critical of your own work. And for doing it for so long, it's just kind of like, that's another one in the portfolio.
Yep.
And I think what Dan said, the line about the string of pearls, that really hit me. He's like, sometimes it takes a long time to find a pearl, and I was just like, damn, Daniel.
Oh, let's not get back into that.
No, I won't. Not to say that I don't enjoy my work, folks, but it's been a year.
Yeah.
So
I enjoy every single aspect of it until it's released.
Right.
And then once it's released is when I start having a problem with it.
Yeah. Like I'll be editing it and I'll be like, this is turning out pretty good. And then like I'll hit export and I'll put it on YouTube and I'm like, I'm never going to watch this again.
Yeah, we just covered that with your with your film that you showed me not too long ago.
Well, that's a whole other
thing. That is a whole other thing, but it still follows the same idea.
But like I can't watch myself on camera. Like editing, like let's say the Burlington town tree lighting. Yeah, that's torture. That is torture for me.
Yeah, I think it's the same with me with JHR now, and to the point where I've made so many of the JHR assets stock, if you will, that I don't even have to watch myself most of the time. I just have to find the important parts in the episode to edit the other things in. Yeah. And that's it.
And funny enough, like editing, like the tree lighting is hard,
Mm-hmm.
but a lip dub, no problem.
Well, because maybe it's because it's not your voice.
Well, and that my workshop is like that's not me. That's
your character within your group hug universe.
Yeah, that's a weird that's something that just comes out of me every few months. We got way off
that's
topic.
all right though. That's the whole point of of podcasts like this.
Let's talk about the music because it's a musical. What about the music really attracts you in this film? Attracts you to this film.
Yeah. I just love the I guess grassroots is the best way to put it. Grassroots way of doing these songs. My one unfortunate thing with this film, and I understand why they couldn't have, is on the soundtrack on Spotify or the CD you can buy. It's not the outdoor mixes. It's because studio recordings, which obviously they couldn't have actually. Actually, one of the songs, the song that they do on the rooftop. Where Haley Steinfeld joins in with the guitar, there is the rooftop mix on the soundtrack for that, but the rest of the songs are studio recordings, and I almost feel like they lose a bit of their charm through the studio recordings. But
yeah, I can see that. But at the same time, if you heard the actual outside ones,
I'm sure it's terrible.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's absolutely terrible.
But they made a lot of money off that album.
Yeah,
so in the movie,
10,000 overnight. That's quite a bit. Yeah. I mean, when you have CeeLo Green or whatever his character in the movie was.
Another odd inclusion in this movie.
What's really funny is you can pretty much tell that CeeLo Green even doesn't want to associate with this film again, because
wants to associate with CeeLo Green anymore.
All of his songs on the soundtrack are off the Spotify version.
Okay.
They're grayed out. You can't listen to them. And that's usually a licensing thing. He must not have renewed his license to those songs. But anyway, I just like the grassroots, singer-songwriter style to them, because it makes it feel achievable, if you will. It's the same kind of idea like I was mentioning earlier, where it's if they did this, maybe I can do something like that. And hearing such simple lyrics, such simple guitar and everything like that, it's I could probably theoretically do that if I really wanted to.
Is this the typical type of music you like? I know you're James's House of Rock.
Well, the rock part is honestly really only there now because it's the brand. But it's more become James's House of Music.
Yeah. It's not too late to change the name.
It's a little late. It's been 10 years.
Okay.
The JHR, that JHR acronym is so... I pulled a KFC. I stopped referring to myself as James's House of Rock and have shortened it down to JHR most of the time because
You did the Duncan thing?
Yeah, the Duncan thing. Because the rock isn't really part of the brand much anymore. It's And it's kind of, it's funny. It's almost reflective of how the musical journey I went through since starting the show. Is I listened to a lot of rock and stuff like that, mostly influenced by my mom when the show started, which is why and a lot of the early bands that I talked about were rock bands or pop punk bands or whatever. But now in the recent years, especially since hitting college and having a lot more time on the buses and trains in my commute and having to find new things to listen to while I'm there, my musical taste has gone all over the place now. It's all over the place. This is this soundtrack is not something I would have typically listened to, let's say even 10 years ago, but it's something I definitely love now. I love that singer-songwriter style music.
Well, I mean, people change, and as you said, the different times you revisited this film, you've got something new out of it. Your perspective on it has changed. But you nailed the core value of getting out there and getting your work done.
Yeah.
No matter if you got to pay some kids $5 to just be quiet for half an hour while you record in an alley.
Yeah.
It's the whole staying true to your passion and keeping the drive, and that's what I saw a lot of you in the film when I was watching it. I was like, this is James. That. James gets his stuff done no matter what. And honestly, I think it's a good message for all young creators like you to do the work. Just find a way to do it. It'll be hard. There'll be setbacks, but you can find a way. And the path to success is not straight line.
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. It's not a singular straight path by any means.
Oh, no.
And I think the film definitely nails that in when she's I'm going to release this online for $1 and then blows up.
Well, yeah, because it's better to just get $1 out of it than... a dollar out of it and just have it be the dollar than losing $9 to a corporation that doesn't need it.
And this film's kind of got a good reflection of the change of time of like how, like, I think maybe back in 2013 when social media wasn't as big as it is now.
Yeah, Facebook would have like just hit big, and I don't think Spotify would have been anywhere near.
Did you just say
where
Facebook just hit big in 2013?
Well, 2011, 2012 is when I started, like when it started hitting my age at least.
Okay.
I know that it was like an older generation before that.
Yeah.
but
ouch.
That's yeah.
But it's so much easier to get famous now. You think like with like TikTok and Instagram,
yeah, you know how
YouTube
weird
and
this
Twitter.
movie probably would have been if it was framed in nowadays with all the different music distribution platforms and stuff.
All what's his name would have had to do was just put a TikTok of her up online, and she would have blown up.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So like, it's definitely a nice. I don't even know what I'm going to say here. It's interesting how things have changed, like getting your work out there and achieving success and achieving fame.
I thought it was even really funny in the last couple viewings. I've noticed this, how, like, obviously Dan is an old-fashioned kind of person in terms of he sticks to his old core values, if you will.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of the headphone splitter is kind of funny to me in today's light. Like,
I love that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole film. Honestly, is the scene where they're walking around New York with the music playing. But nowadays, it's like, oh, let me give me my other Bluetooth earbud. Like, you could split them up.
It's so nice. It's so nice. It's a nice scene. I love that.
Scene. The sentimental value of it's amazing, which is where I like that they didn't take that in a romantic way, and it was still just a respect of the other person kind of thing.
Kind of reminded me of Baby Driver, but I don't think he used a splitter in Baby Driver. I think they just shared one earbud. We've talked about that scene. What other scenes really stick out to you in the film?
I really like the scene on the rooftop when they first bring Violet, right? Is his daughter Haley Steinfeld Violet, up to the roof, and like at first she's very hesitant to join in, and then her guitar gets even louder and louder until she's a full part of the band. And then like the dude in the window is like, I'm gonna call the cops. He's like, 3 more minutes, and it's like,
it would have experienced that, James.
Not while filming, but
I have.
Yeah,
I have. Did you ever see the original lip dub in the parking garage?
Yep.
Kesha? Yeah,
I think I have.
Cop showed up.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've had people concerned about my well-being, but
well, we said like, oh, we're just doing a school project, and he's like, all right, just clean up when you're done.
Yeah, because there was one thing I shot up at a playground, and it required the character to scream at one point, and
that didn't cause a disturbance at all.
Oh well, I mean, it was already a playground full of kids and parents. We were just like off to the side. We were stupid like 12-year-olds at this point.
I think I've seen that one.
He might have. Actually, I don't even think we were 12. I think we were like 14 or 15.
Was it part of the movie Making Kids festival?
No, not Destroying the Stars. This was a couple years after Destroying the Stars. This was called Bucket Night. Destroying the Stars was filmed in a relatively empty Simon's Park.
Gotcha.
At the time. No, Bucket Night, you can even hear, because I couldn't cleanly cut it off in the editing, you can briefly hear a woman off to the side go, everything all right over there?
Wow. Any other scenes that really stick out?
I like the characterization in the very beginning opening scene of Dan, where he wakes up, goes out to the balcony in his underwear, smokes a cigarette, and then goes back to bed, and just has like the dirtiest feet in existence. And I feel like it's just like the absolute perfect introduction to his character, and one of the perfect intros to a movie like that.
I know. I did like his he's sampling everybody's demos in the car.
And he's just dumping them out of the window. Yeah, honestly, there isn't really a lot of scenes in this movie that aren't good.
No.
Like
I do think that one with on the roof and like Violet, like encouraging Violet to play, I think that speaks a lot to a lot of a theme in the film, which is like just giving a creator a chance, you know?
Which I always love the irony of that scene, considering Haley Steinfeld is a successful musician. And,
right.
And even was when this movie was filmed.
I know, we forget she's a singer.
Yeah.
She does so much acting now. I did want to talk about the there's two scenes with Adam Levine.
Okay.
And it's the breakup scene with Greta and Dave, which I thought was amazing. Like, he's like, oh, I thought of this new song for you. And because music is so personal to her, she knew something. She knew
right away,
Yeah, that was great. Like, I had to rewind it because I'm like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah. The first time I ever watched it outside of the movie theater, it was the same way. It was like, wait, I didn't fully grasp what was happening in the scene at first. I was like, wait, what was wrong with that song? And then when I got a little older and understood the whole thing, I was like, oh, wait, he just came back from L.A. without her and wrote this, like, amazing
song about
romantic
a girl.
song. Yeah.
And then there was the voicemail. Writing the clapback song via voicemail, which is amazing.
It wasn't supposed to inspire you. It was supposed to tell you.
And then, he tried to make some... That wasn't Lost Stars, was it?
No, it was not Lost Stars. Lost Stars was one of the first songs the two of them record before they go to New York kind of thing. Yeah.
And then, like, I just enjoyed, like, the whole sequence of them, like, going out into the city and, like, guerrilla album recording.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
That spoke to me. Harken back to my younger days.
That's still me now because I have no budget.
I don't have any budget either. I say I work at BCAP sometimes. That doesn't even help.
It is nice to have the studio here.
Yes, exactly. Lost my place here. We talked about that. Any favorite fun facts about the film you can share with us?
Yeah, so there's actually a couple. The biggest one that I thought was really cool to know when I first learned about it is the apartment that the record label buys Greta and Dave when they first arrived to New York.
Yeah,
that's Adam Levine's real life.
Oh, really?
New York apartment. Yeah, it's not his main house. It's just one of like his summer homes, if you will. Okay. But yeah, it's his actual apartment.
They saved some money with that one.
I would assume that was probably the reason.
Yeah.
But just to know that that's the house he lives in is insane, or one of the houses he lives in is insane. The kid that asks for Dan to give them cigarettes in the alley is Mark Ruffalo's son. That.
Another Avenger kid cameoing in a movie.
Yeah, I find really funny. And then the first album that Dave Cole produces when they're in New York, I think it's called like Jane's Songs or something along those lines, but I don't remember the exact wording that the movie uses, but it's a reference to Maroon 5's first album, Songs About Jane. Oh,
wow, I did not pick up on that.
No, I honestly didn't until I was reading, and this was years ago, I was reading the trivia page on IMDb, and it mentioned that. And then the next time I viewed the movie, I noticed when they hold up the CD, you can see it. But yeah, it's Jane's Songs or something along those lines, so it's a reference to songs about Jane.
Shows how much I know about Maroon 5.
Yeah, I'm a big Maroon 5 fan.
I really like a lot of their songs.
Older Maroon 5 fan. Yeah. I haven't liked their last couple albums, but and then the final one that isn't really a fun fact, but it's something worth mentioning with the film is that the director and writer of this film, John Carney, has largely disowned this film and no longer
which I don't understand
acknowledges or likes it. It was his first foray into Hollywood.
Okay.
And like big time Hollywood, because all the films that he had done before that were like shoestring indie films kind of thing, shoestring budget indie films. And he just had a terrible time filming this movie. He stated in a couple of interviews that he will never work with like celebrity actors ever again. Because he noted specifically Keira Knightley was just a nightmare to work with, who needed to, and I remember reading all this, needed to have an entourage with her on set, like pretty much all the time, which drove production time like to go up a bunch. And he just didn't like studio interference and stuff like that. He preferred to work on his own accord.
It's kind of ironic when you consider the trajectory of the plot in this film.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And it's funny because now that you remind me, he doesn't do Hollywood stuff anymore. He did Sing Street.
Yeah, not that he necessarily won't work in Hollywood ever again. It's that he won't work with like celebrity actors ever again. Like, and he'd prefer not to work in Hollywood, but that's kind of what you have to do if you're going to make money off this stuff.
And Sing Street's another indie film that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it's ironic that 3 movies in a row are all music related.
Yeah. Hey, some people have a style. and they have their tropes. I'm sure you know, like we all have our patterns.
Yeah, I remember specifically in college, I was telling one of my friends I was writing a script that was like I was trying my hand at a romantic comedy, and my friend was like, "It's not a sci-fi film," and I was like, "Yeah, you know what?"
We all have our tropes, but it's good to branch out and try some stuff sometimes. I thought it was interesting. What was I gonna say? This film it premiered at Sundance.
Did it?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a fact I even knew.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense to me because the Weinsteins were like I want to say the hound dogs of Sundance. That's not
weird,
even a metaphor that people use.
No.
I just made that up.
Hey, I think it gets the point across, though.
Well, yeah, they would literally go to Sundance and scoop everything up. So I can totally understand John Carney's hesitation to ever do Hollywood again.
Especially working with people like the Weinstein brothers.
But even like, again, speaking of like Sundance, like that's a lot of guerrilla filmmaking. That's like a lot of independent funding, just making it work however you can. And then
Sundance is like the king of indie film festivals.
Right.
Like it's the final boss before you get to actual Hollywood.
Exactly. Yeah. I went to Sundance twice, and some of the movies that I saw I've never heard of again. And some have branched out. But yeah, it's a lot of touch and go.
I've always wanted to go to Sundance.
It's fun. It's cold.
Yeah, where is it held usually?
Park City in Utah.
Oh, in
That's
Utah.
where it is
Okay,
every
what
year,
a weird place to hold such an important film festival. It's probably the only important thing to ever happen in Utah.
Well, Robert Redford, I don't know if he's the one who started it. I don't know if he lives out there.
It's possible.
This is me not remembering anything about my senior seminar.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend going at least once in your life.
I'd love to.
There's Q&As after every film. You see random celebrities walking the street.
Nice.
I saw Danny McBride.
Nice.
I saw Josh Gad before he blew up.
Cool.
And I was the only one that knew who he was.
What did you know him from?
Well, it was a sitcom called Back to You. It aired on Fox. No, it was a casualty of the writer's strike in 2007. But it starred Kelsey Grammer and Patricia Heaton.
Okay.
They were two like very famous co-anchors on a morning news show.
Okay.
And they had a kid like in secret.
Yep.
And so like it was the whole navigating working while trying to like secretly like parent this kid together.
That's pretty cool.
And Josh Gad was like the weatherman. No, he was like the intern producer or something.
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of role for him. When you said weatherman, I was like, I don't think that's a Josh Gad role.
And Ty Burrell was on it too.
Okay.
This is all before Modern Family. Anyway, that's a random tangent. And you remember the show Entourage? Yeah. The lead actor who played Vinny Chase snubbed me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I'm not like calling him out or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sundance, great time.
Sundance. Yeah.
What do you think allows audiences to connect with this film? I know it's probably not a film a lot of people have heard of. I hadn't heard about it until you brought it to me, but what do you think allows viewers to connect with it?
I think it's just such the well-written characters. Like all of the main characters and all of even the secondary and tertiary characters are so well written that I think it's easy to find something you relate to in every character because they each embody stereotypes without feeling like a stereotype, if you will.
Yeah, and it's not just musicians; it's filmmakers, it's artists, it's entertainers, it's anybody trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Get their work out and stuff. To the people that do know this film, what do you think allows it to stand the test of time?
I think it's just like it. Even if it was 2013 before like streaming services were huge and social media was huge and everything like that, I feel like it's still a story a lot of people can relate to, even with modern technology. Because like, there's always going to be people trying to make it, or there's always going to be people trying to not work with corporations,
right? Yeah.
Or work with record labels, or wanting to do stuff like go out and film in a field, or go out and record in the middle of a city, or something like that. And I think regardless of any technology or any any assumed ease of making it nowadays. There's still a bit of that story that can relate to anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you consider it a modern classic?
No.
Okay. Moving on.
It's one of those films that I kind of wish was, or like I think should be, because of its timeless nature of its story and its characters, but it's definitely a movie that was forgotten by time.
All right. Well, that leads me into my second to last question. Why do you think people should see Begin Again?
Again, it goes back, like I just said, it's a timeless story with timeless characters. They're all embody stereotypes without feeling like a stereotype, and there's something in it for everyone. Mm-hmm. If you are in the creative field, you should watch this movie because it's such a feel-good, inspiring kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not everyone can be Dan and Greta, but it gives you hope.
I mean, everyone can try to be Dan and Greta, even if you're not specifically.
Just try. Just make something.
Just don't do anything illegal. That's very important to note.
We have never done anything wrong ever.
Oh, definitely not.
Lives.
I definitely haven't trespassed on a bunch of different properties that I definitely shouldn't have.
Oh, whatever.
That's all right.
So just to wrap it up, put it all on a bow, why does Begin Again matter to you?
It's just a movie I can keep coming back to. It's that movie that, even though I've watched the plot or watched the movie 30-something times and know the plot and probably could recite most of the dialogue to you at this point, there's still something in it every time. Like I mentioned, every time I watch it, there's something different I notice, and something more, and it all goes within the context of where I am in life when I watch it again.
Yeah.
And that's why it matters to me. Is it's just a nice movie that I can put on every now and again to feel good about myself and feel inspired for a little bit.
It's like a little time capsule for you, like these movies that we revisit year after years, and how like they hold a mirror up to us in a way, sort of see like how we've changed and stuff.
Definitely,
how we've grown and how we haven't grown. Some of us are in our 30s still making lip dubs.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's not. Well, James, this was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad I could finally get you on the show.
I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that I could actually finally fulfill my promise that I wanted to be a guest on this show.
And I know you'll probably be back at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
I know you and I can talk about any manner of movies.
Oh yeah, there's another really not as obscure as Begin Again film that I'd like to talk about at some point. Now You See Me.
Oh yeah,
that magician heist movie.
We've talked about this. Yeah.
That's another one nobody really remembers, and ironically enough, another one with Mark Ruffalo in it.
Yeah. Are you a big Mark Ruffalo fan?
He just happens to be in every film that I like.
Okay, fair enough.
He's good. He's bad. It depends on the role he's in.
Wow, we've covered everything from Sundance to canceled Fox sitcoms today to.
Well, when you have a runtime of an hour, it's down.
That's true.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah. But I'm very thankful that you've introduced me to a new film, because I think there are a lot of films like this that don't get the attention of major blockbusters.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But are definitely worthy of the attention. And that's also kind of a lot about what Begin Again is giving attention to the girl on the open mic who isn't really getting a lot of attention from the crowd. But then, again, another La La Land reference, someone in the crowd just hears you, and then,
I also think, and I don't want to run our time too far over here.
I think we're good.
Yeah. I also think it's just important to remember movies like these, because Begin Again came out just before Hollywood shifted a little bit to focus less on like smaller, like maybe chance movies, if you will, to just exclusively blockbusters. If you can't promise the studio you'll make $1 billion off of your idea, leave the room. They don't want to hear it anymore.
I think I hear your guest for your podcast. We're running a little late schedule wise, but James is about to go tape his podcast right after this. So James is going to take a break, rest his vocal cords. James, thanks again for being here. Folks, if you want to check out JHR or any of James's work, find him on Instagram and YouTube at James's House of Rock. And you can also see a lot of his work here on BCAT. And don't go looking for any of my work beyond this podcast.
And please don't look for anything that's older than like the last 5 years, please.
Unless it makes us money.
Well, yeah.
You never know. Folks, if you enjoy the podcast, if you have some movie recommendations, or, maybe if you don't enjoy the podcast and you want to just criticize me, that's fine. As long as it's constructive. You can reach me at moviesthatmatterpod@gmail.com. You can also follow the show on Instagram at moviesthatmatterpod. And as my usual joke at the end of every episode, you can follow us on Twitter at moviesthatmatter, but minus the second T in that. So say it with a weird Tommy Wiseau accent. Movies that matter.
Was it just taken? Was the username
It was taken. Movies That Matter was taken. Yeah. So I just had to minus that last T.
Beautiful.
James, thanks again for being here.
Absolutely.
And thank you all out there for listening. Give Begin Again a chance if you never heard about it before. Once again, this has been Movies That Matter. I've been your host, Chris Flaherty. Remember, entertainment is subjective. It's not a bad thing. When the world gets crazy, just escape into your favorite movie or television show for a while. Thank you, and good night.